Aloha, everybody, and welcome to this special episode of Faith in Politics, where Jim Hochberg and I are going to talk a little bit about the Equality Act, which just passed the House. So let's chat about that. All right, welcome to the show today, Jim.
You have to realize that this is overtime. And for the union that I'm in, that means that my rate per second for this incident is, I believe it's 20 grand.
Okay, maybe we can put that into the budget and help balance it.
I want you to let that be in there when we send
it. It is. Oh, it is. They'll hear that.
They'll cut it out, but it's fun, you know.
Oh, okay.
Just
You're
for
funny.
fun.
Okay. All right. Anyway, welcome back to the show, Jim, on this fine Friday morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. I noticed that you have a different coffee cup today, Jim.
That's because I'm in my living room.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Jim, what we want to talk about just for the next few minutes, just to give everybody a little bit of an update. I'm sure everybody already knows because social media is blowing up about this, that the Equality Act just passed the U.S. House of Representatives, and it passed by a vote of
for the second time.
For the
second time in a couple of years. Not a big deal.
Yes. And so there were 211 yes votes. There was 195 no votes. Interesting, there was 25 not voting, which that's according to the congressional record. So I don't know if that means they were excused, if they were absent, or if they chose not to vote. But it's very interesting because when it passed the last time, the numbers weren't quite like this. So obviously the numbers did change a little bit. So what are your thoughts? I know you're not surprised by this vote at all.
No, like we talked about in the studio about this in the last segment of the show, it's raw political power. When the Democrats took over the House of Representatives last election cycle before the presidential election, this was one of their political moves. And it passed and it died because the Senate recognized the foolishness of the bill. So the fact that people are not voting yes in the House, 25 of them, I mean, it's a small percentage, but still, that tells you that it's not all that the proponents are waving their flags about.
Yeah, it's interesting because in a lot of the news stories I've seen, I don't think I've heard that reported about the non-voting members. So
of course not.
Interesting. Yeah. So, but again, I want to make it clear that I'm not sure why they're listed as not voting, but that is there according to the congressional record.
This vote was not in person, correct?
Yeah, because according to the congressional record, it says 0 were present. So I'm assuming that means it was a virtual
when
vote.
It's a vote by Zoom, the fact that you weren't in the room isn't an excuse.
Okay. Well, again, just in case we have people watching this that want to look it up, they can go to the congressional voting record and check it out. And hey, if you're watching this and you know something that Jim and I don't know, put it in the comments right in YouTube, and maybe Jim and I will talk about it on the show. So you can go ahead and do that. Jim, so of course, the other thing too is that the Hawaii representatives, both Kahele and Case, they both voted yes. You're not surprised about that either, are you?
The Democratic Party is showing its disregard for the United States Constitution, and our representatives in Hawaii include the disregard for the provisions of the Hawaii Constitution. I mean, voting for this is political in the sense that their supporters want this, so they approve the measure. But as lawmakers, they're responsible to make sure the measures that they vote for are constitutional. And this measure is just completely unconstitutional on several grounds. And so it's just a political event. It's the legal impact is much less significant than the political impact.
Wow. That's, hopefully people that are watching this took time to send a message to their congressional member. It doesn't matter what state you're in. Everybody should have made some kind of contact with their own representative to let them know. I know a lot of people in Hawaii did, and they did it through our system, Jim. So I know that this was taking place, that there was a lot of input right here from Hawaii. And the representatives that responded were very clear that they felt that this is a discrimination issue and they really wanted to deal with the issue of discrimination. And I know you feel differently about that. Any thoughts on that?
I saw I saw Representative Ed Case's letter, and I get so tired of seeing our elected officials crafting a letter that can be used for every single inquiry on the subject. It's really, I mean, yeah, it's efficient, sure, makes it easy for the people that work in his office, but it is so disrespectful. I mean, it is absolutely disrespectful of the voters and the citizens.
I think so too. And I mean, I do understand though that they probably get a lot of email, and they probably,
why they make the big bucks.
Right.
That's why they make the big bucks.
And so, they probably could not respond individually to every single person all the time. But yeah, I think we did get some comments about that people felt like they were getting just a form letter kind of response. And on an issue like this, I think, I don't know, maybe on this particular issue, a virtual town hall might have been good to talk just about this issue. But the bad thing about that is that people on both sides get very upset about issues like this, and maybe it's hard to have a discussion. I don't know, but your point is well taken, and I think a lot of people agree with you. Another thing,
let me just be a little more specific. So a letter to Representative Case that says, Representative Case, I'm very concerned about your support for the Equality Act because the United States Constitution in the First Amendment explicitly says Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or the abridgment of the free exercise thereof. How can you possibly support this bill? Would you please explain to me how your support of this bill is not a violation of that prohibition? And to get a letter back that says, well, I heard what you said and my heart really weeps for you, but you know what? Discrimination is a bad thing. It avoids the whole point, and it's very frustrating.
Well, I have to say there were a couple of people that didn't like the response they got, and so they replied back again to say, thank you so much for your form letter, but here are my issues. And I have to say I was kind of impressed with a couple of those people because they really wanted to engage, and they were kind about it. They weren't trying to be rude, but they were taking what you just said to heart. They really wanted to hear directly from the representative. I don't know if he's responded yet, but I'm sure I'll find out. So I don't know. We'll keep this conversation going. In the last few minutes, Jim, I'd love to get your opinion on Representative Al Green's speech that he gave from the floor during the vote. And I want to read you a snippet of what he said because it's getting a lot of attention out there. And so I'd love to get your thoughts on this. So he says, and still I rise, Mr. Speaker. You used God to enslave my foreparents. You used God to segregate me in schools. You used God to put me in the back of the bus. Have you no shame? God created every person in this room. Are you saying that God made a mistake? This is not about God. It's about men who choose to discriminate against other people because they have the power to do so. My record will not show that I voted against Mr. Chickling's, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Cicilline, sorry, I apologize. Having his rights. My record will show that when I had the opportunity to deliver liberty and justice for all, I voted for rights for all. So any thoughts on his floor speech?
Well, yeah, actually, I became familiar with Representative Green shortly after President Trump was inaugurated because he embarked on a regular, reoccurring introduction of House measures to impeach President Trump, most without articles of impeachment included, just so he could give a speech about how he wants to impeach President Trump. That's the foundation of my understanding of him, apart from the words that we're looking at today. But when I look at the words that he said that we're looking at today, he seems to be either ignorant or intentionally misleading on history, because as a matter of fact, slavery and segregation were both defeated because of the church, not in spite of the church. So either he knows that and he's just making a speech because he can, or he's ignorant. And I don't know the answer. When he addresses equality for all, this bill does not even come close to pretending to seek equality for all. It's a very one-sided political hammer. And so either, again, he's ignorant of the actual effect of the bill, or he really doesn't care and he's intentionally misleading. But what I would say is, more important than his feelings about history and the effects of this bill is what the Constitution actually says on the subject, because until we overturn the Constitution completely, we still are a form of government in this civilization that is called a constitutional republic. And under the constitutional republic, the power of the federal government is very limited. After the Civil War, those limitations were extended to cover the states. And infringing on religious liberty is the only behavioral aspect of life that the Constitution actually addresses. It's the only one. Because what it says is Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or infringing on the free exercise thereof. So if you want to say that religion is a choice, so that puts it on a level of what cereal you eat, what car you drive, who you decide you want to have sex with. It's the only one that's actually protected by the Constitution. So as long as we're still a constitutional republic, we really need to use the constitutional protections of the citizens as the bulwark against unconstitutional acts by a legislative body.
Well, I find it interesting that there would be a representative that would use their floor speech to talk about God. So obviously that is a direct speech meant for the faith-based community, right? I mean, obviously he's addressing what he feels is a rise in the faith-based community who are strongly opposed to the Equality Act. I mean, the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops have come out in opposition to the Equality Act. There's universities, Christian universities, there's Christian lobbying groups, Christian organized groups, all coming out strongly opposed to the Equality Act. So it seems to me that in order for a representative to use the floor speech as an opportunity to talk about God and what God's saying, they must be a little worried about the opposition of the faith-based community.
You know, when I read the words that he shared, I took it more as that poor man is mocking God right now. And that's never a good thing to do.
Wow. Well,
I wasn't thinking so much about the USCCB or Foursquare denomination or whatever. I was actually picturing him on Judgment Day going, oh.
I didn't take it that way, because I really felt like there's a lot of hate stuff going, because, you know, the Family Policy Alliance did an equality virtual rally, and there's a lot of trolling that's taking place right now to all the speakers, because this is one of those issues that really brings a polarity between groups. A lot of hate stuff comes out during this time. A lot of nasty emails, threats. People are just attacked. You know, you and I talked about that on the show, right? About how we really need to really look at ourselves and look at where that place is coming from deep within us when we have such vitriol toward people of which we don't agree. But so in these last few minutes, Jim, what's going to happen with the bill? We know it's going to go over to the Senate. There's a lot of doubt as to what's going to happen in the Senate. It's not going to sail through the Senate the way it did through the House.
Well, hopefully there are Democratic senators in conservative leaning, like West Virginia states, where the First Amendment, protection of religious liberty, the desire not to fund abortion, those issues mean a lot to the voters that elected, for instance, Senator Manchin or some other people. I think that at least one senator in the Democratic side is probably not going to vote for it. My bigger concern is that whatever part of the Democratic Party votes no or doesn't vote yes will be replaced by liberal Republicans that feel this is their chance to beat their chest on an issue that they think is important for them because they live in more northeast corner states of our country. So it may pass with Republican votes. I don't know.
Well, it'll be interesting. So we really encourage our viewers to stay tuned. Jim and I are going to continue to talk about issues that are facing this nation from a faith-based perspective. So make sure you watch us every Friday, 10 a.m. Color TV and listen to us on K-Light Radio. Jim, thanks for joining us on this Friday morning.
Good morning. See you later.
All right, everybody, have a great day. Mahalo, everybody.